I've gotten to the point where like I have a lot of remote workers and they're all over the world and they all are specialized in a certain role. But for your business, especially if you're doing like between 20 and 80K a month and you're like, man, I'm so busy all the time, you need a virtual assistant as more of a generalist.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe.
What's up, everybody? Mike Hickman here, founder of paintergrowth.com, and you're listening to another episode of the Painter Growth Podcast. Thanks for being here with me today. Today's a solo episode, just me, no guests, so I hope that's okay. Got your permission. I hope that the description of this podcast got you guys excited. So, what we're going to talk about today is how to hire a virtual assistant for your painting company. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, a virtual assistant, they're just going to be able to do data entry. Like, what does a painting company even need with a virtual assistant? Hold your ropes, guys. Let's get into it, because a virtual assistant is so much more than that. It's so much more than just some admin person in the Philippines or something, just doing data entry or spreadsheets or whatever for you. The way that I look at this topic is that instead of, I don't even call it virtual assistant, because I find that's like not, it doesn't do it justice, doesn't do the role justice, because what you're actually doing is you're hiring talent from overseas. So I call it like overseas talent, or my overseas workforce, or my out of country workforce. And I've gotten to the point where like I have a lot of remote workers and they're all over the world and they all are specialized in a certain role. But for your business, especially if you're doing like between 20 and 80K a month and you're like, man, I'm so busy all the time, you need a virtual assistant as more of a generalist. Now, just as kind of some context, like what can a virtual assistant do? Now there's tons that a virtual assistant can do. Now I'm going to caveat that by saying virtual assistants can do all of these things, but one virtual assistant can't do everything, right? So you kind of want to pick what type of, just like as if you're hiring someone locally, like, you think about hiring a painter. Like you hire a painter who's really good at painting, but that same painter is not going to be the one running your books, right? They're not going to be doing your bookkeeping for you. So the same as people specialize in the different things that they're good at, your overseas team, your virtual team is going to, specialize in the things that they're good at. You can stay fairly generalist to begin with, but as you grow, you're going to want to specialize more and have more team for this. So what are the different things that you can have your virtual assistant do? Well, a ton. Things like sales. So in your sales, your setup calls, your lead calling, your estimate booking, your outbound calling, your strategic partnership outreach, marketing aspects, right? Identifying marketing routes, Facebook ads management, social media account management, content creation, graphic design, video editing. There's production aspects that your virtual assistant can help you with, like job scheduling, painter communication, ordering painter materials, talking to customers, right? There's admin things that they can do, like answering the phone, email management, calendar management, data entry, document preparation. There's financial aspects that they can help you with, like invoicing, bookkeeping, expense tracking, bill payments. There's technical support like website maintenance or recruiting things like job posting, applicant screening, first interviews, employee onboarding. There's so much that they can do, right? But it's really about figuring out what you need done in your business. What are you spending all of your time on? And what do you not want to do anymore? And can it be done virtually? Chances are a lot of it can, especially if you use a little bit of creativity, right? Because think about it this way. If you can hire someone and say like the average, right now for a full-time 40-hour per week virtual admin, virtual assistant from like South America or the Philippines or Pakistan or wherever, whatever, language or whatever culture you want to hire from, um, anywhere from, $700-800 per month up to like $1,200 per month US. And that's an all-in monthly cost for a salary to hire a full-time person who's actually very skilled and very good at their job. And it's not paying them nothing. Like you're not like just paying them a fifth of a salary and they're making a fifth of a salary. Like these are more than like teachers and doctors and dentists are making in a lot of these countries. And you have an opportunity to employ them in your company, provide them a really great living, a really great lifestyle, in their countries. But at the same time, they're providing you a ton of value by allowing you to get a full-time virtual support person for approximately a fifth of the cost of someone locally. Cost of living is lower, groceries are lower, rent is lower, like everything is cheaper, right? More affordable. So that's just why you're able to get away with it. Now, the purpose really, like the outcome that you'd want to get when you're looking at bringing on a virtual assistant would be buying your time back, efficiency, eliminating or minimizing distractions, improving your effectiveness, and of course, affordability. So in your business, like when do you need a virtual assistant? How can you look at your business, your time, what you're doing, your activities, your income, and decide whether or not you're ready for a virtual assistant? Now, I like to say that if you are already doing like 10 to 20K a month or way more, like that's the bare minimum, you're probably ready. Even hiring a part-time virtual assistant, someone like half-time, 20 hours a week, which is a lot of time, especially for a small business, this can be, four to $600 per month for someone who can like literally do so much stuff that you just hate doing. And there's so much that they can be doing right now to help you grow quicker. And when you hear people say like, hey, okay, as you grow your company, you need to invest in your growth, man. Like this is investing in your growth. This is taking a short-term loss, not a loss, but a short-term hit to your income because this is directly coming off of your net profit because it's a non-production related role. So it's adding to your overhead. So say for a part-time role, say call it $500 a month, which is super reasonable. For $500 a month, you can get 20 hours of your time back if you deploy it properly. So just at like, what is that? 500 divided by 20, that's times 4.3. So 20 times 4.3 is 86 hours. So 500 divided by 86 is 581 an hour. Okay. So if you get those 86 hours per month back, those 20 hours per week back, if you can make more than 586 an hour, it pays for itself, right? Even if you're, doing what I call the least productive thing in your painting business, which is painting. Even if you get those 20 hours a week back and you're painting instead of doing the admin stuff, you're making about $50 an hour. So your arbitrage on your time there is $50, which you're making when you're painting, minus your 586. So you're making like $44 an hour, extra profit just by painting. But now go take that and go to like doing estimates, right? Which we've talked about before as a $500 an hour activity. So you take that $500 and you minus 586 an hour or $6 an hour, let's call it. And now you're arbitraging another $494 per hour. So it's all, and that doesn't even mean you need to be using that full 20 hours for that. If you have one more hour, if you're able to pump out one more estimate per month by having a part-time virtual assistant, and in that estimate, you book a $1,000 job, which is $500 of gross margin. All right, you pay for that. You pay for your virtual assistant for the whole month, right? What are the chances that if you had another 20 hours a week, you could book one more job a month? Freaking hope so. If you don't think you could do that, then you're in the wrong business. So, anyway, with that being said, I do want to caveat this, right? A virtual assistant is not a robot, right? You want to treat this with respect. You want to treat this with consideration. You're going to be hiring a human that needs to be treated like an employee. And the biggest reason why most people who try to bring on a virtual assistant and fail is that they don't treat them like an employee. They don't create culture. They don't help that person, that new virtual assistant, that new member of your team feel empowered and valued and respected. And they just treat them like a number punching robot on the other side of the computer, right? You need to give them the respect that they deserve. And if you respect them and treat them well, they're going to provide you so much value and free up so much more of your time and help you make so much more money. So you're going to want to help them build culture. You want to help build culture, which is not very difficult. We can talk about that in this one or a subsequent episode about this. You want to support them and you really want to help them succeed. Okay, so now that we've got all of that out of the way, I want to talk briefly about creating your role and really figuring out what you want done. Because just like hiring anybody, right? You need to know what the role is that you're hiring for, right? It's really easy to say, hey, I want to hire a VA, right? It's like, okay, cool story. What do you want them to do? And that is really going to determine what type of person you hire. Like if you really dig into it, which is what we're going to do right now, and you find out that the tasks that you need to outsource are like bookkeeping tasks and data entry and admin, and that's the part of your business that you really need help with, that takes away your energy that you want to get off your plate. But you hire someone who's like really good at sales and talking on the phone and like not super precise and like doesn't have a high attention to detail, and you're going to try to get that person into this bookkeeping role, like that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So you really need to create your role by identifying the tasks that you want them to do. This is going to allow you to recruit and build a better and find a better candidate, right? So there's going to be some crossover, right? Because these are humans, these are people that are like pretty skilled at what they do, and they're they have experience working online, and you're going to be able to do some crossover, right? And a little bit of differentiation, but you do want to be mindful of like what types of skills you want to get done in your company. So I actually have this this worksheet. It's called my virtual assistant role builder worksheet, and I'm just going to pull it up on the screen here. So if anyone is following along, what I'm going to do, actually, I just thought about doing this. Hopefully I can get it up in time. Is I'll put together a little like a downloadable toolkit with some of these resources. So let me just present this. Here we go. Okay. So this is my virtual assistant role builder worksheet. And like I said, I'll put a little toolkit below. And what you're going to do here in column A is write all of the tasks that you're doing that is a potential task that you're currently doing that you might be able to delegate, right? Ideally, things that you don't have to be in person to do. Then in column B, what you're going to do is you're going to identify, does it drain you energy? Does it drain your energy? Is it neutral, or does it give you energy? Because ideally, when you're creating this first role, you're going to want to delegate the things that drain your energy, the things that you just absolutely hate doing. And if you can do that and get rid of all the things that you hate doing, then you're going to really, spend more of the time doing things you like doing. So if we go down and like we have like graphic design here, and say you love graphic design, right? But you hate job scheduling. Okay, well, why don't we keep graphic design on your plate for right now? That's something that you love doing. And let's see if there's a way that we can get rid of job scheduling. Okay, so what department is it? It's production. What's the status? Right now, I do it, but you want it to get to them, right? So then what stage is it in? Is it not documented? Is it partially documented, or is it fully documented? Now we'll talk about this probably in the next session when we do this. This will be a series here. But for your job scheduling, or sorry, for every process that you have, you really need to have it documented. And I'll have an example here, a demo SOP that I can show you. But the best way to be able to hand off a task is to have it documented. Then you can do some training, but this is going to be the easiest way. So go through here and add up all of your tasks and see really what all of the tasks are that are potential, which drain your energy, which give you energy, and then hours per week here. So how many hours per week are you spending on each one of these tasks? Or probably better yet, how many hours should these tasks be taking you? How much time should you be spending on these tasks each week, right? Because that will give you an idea of what your virtual assistant should be doing. So if you look at, if say we have setup calls and lead calling, say if you're only spending 2 hours a week right now on your setup calls and you're calling your leads, but you want your assistant to be doing, or you want your virtual assistant to be doing 5 hours per week, then put in the ideal amount of hours that you want them to be spending on it, right? Because then that's going to allow you to really see if you have a part-time role or a full-time role, and how they're going to be spending their time and what type of person you want. Okay, so once you have all of those tasks together, or like or identified, the next is going to be documenting it. So here, if you click on this column H here, template process, we have a template process here, one example here that you can go through. We just have the setup call broken down. So we have an objective / purpose statement, any KPIs. So what is the KPI or key performance indicator of this process? What does a definition of success look like? What is the output and standard? What is the terminology? What are the resources that we need? And then what is the step-by-step process? Now, if you don't want to write this out, what you can do instead is just have a video walkthrough of you recording a video of yourself, either using something like Loom, which is loom.com, or I personally like to use a tool called ScreenPal. SCREENPAL.com. I think it's a little bit better than Loom. And then you can record a video of yourself doing the process, talking through it. It's like, okay, here's how I do my setup calls. Okay. And then, just have a video recording and just you do it through it. Okay. Here's all my leads. And I'm going to call this lead because they're booked for tomorrow. I'm going to go through it and have my script up and just talk through it. And then when someone watches that video, they're going to learn how to do it as well. Right. Of course, that's not going to be where you end the training. You're not just ending the training at here's a process, here's the document, so do it. You're going to be having them actually go through it with you and you're going to train them. But the document is a really, really great place to start because it's going to allow the process to get out of your head. And if you ever have any turnover, it's going to be a lot easier to document those changes, right? Once you identify the tasks that you want with that VA role builder worksheet, you're going to want to create the role description and job listing. Now, what I found to be kind of the best, easiest way to do this initially, at least for your first couple of iterations, is just use ChatGPT. So use ChatGPT and just type in something like create a job description for a virtual assistant who will be working for a painting company doing the following tasks: setup calls, job scheduling, email, calendar management, and other administrative tasks. Create responsibilities, outcome, qualities, traits, and skills needed. Must speak perfect English and be able to work from 11 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Include an overview and demonstrate that we are a fun, fast-growing company with great culture and benefits. So you can just add that in as a ChatGPT prompt, and you're going to get pumped out probably a pretty great job description. The last thing that I want to talk about today on this one, because this is definitely going to be a 2 or 3 part series. We'll see what we can get through on the next one. But the last thing that I want to talk about today is recruiting, because recruiting can be pretty daunting, right? It's like, okay, there's 7 billion people or 8 billion people in the world. How do I find someone in a different country who's going to be reliable, who's going to be good, who's going to, be able to do the things that I need them to do? So, the hiring process, just to kind of give you an idea of it before we jump into actual recruiting, is so you create the job, then we're going to recruit. So we're going to get applicants, then we're going to assess the applicants. We're going to highlight the top ones, review the top ones' resumes, invite the top applicants to an interview, conduct the interviews. We don't do offers on the first interview. And then when possible, check a reference, second interview, and then offer. Now, there's 3 types of places that you can get applicants from. So number one, there's recruiting sites. There's a whole industry dedicated to helping American and Canadian companies, North American companies, find virtual talent, regardless of, the country. There's some different economic models based on these different types of, these different companies have different economic models. Some are good, some are not as good. But I would encourage you to look into them. So one, if you're looking out of the Philippines, a really, really great job board is onlinejobs.ph. So onlinejobs.ph, I think it's like $69 a month. You only have to really sign up for a month or two to find great candidates. You get to immediately start looking through resumes. They have trust scores, verification scores, all of this, different skills associated with it. So you pay your membership fee. You can start looking through resumes. You can post a job pretty easy. There's another one out of South America called remotelatinos.com. This is a pretty good source, but except this one is a different model. I think it's about $2,000 per placement. So that gets a little bit more expensive. But if you just Google, if you have a country in mind that you want to get your employee out of, either you have a culture or you want to get someone who's Spanish speaking, or everyone, is going to be English speaking. But if you want someone who is, also Spanish speaking, who can communicate with your clients and your team, if you also speak Spanish, then you're going to want to look in Latin America. I've had a lot of success, hired some really, really great people out of Latin America, Argentina, Venezuela, Brazil. So with that being said, Google around recruiting sites for virtual assistants from country, and then you're going to get some options. Make sure you look into that economic model. Now there's the job board model, which is like a smaller subscription fee, and you can look through tons of applicants and hire out of there. Or there is the placement where you kind of apply, you give the firm, the recruiting site, all the information about the role in your company, what you want, and they'll give you candidates. That's a placement kind of type of company, and that's going to be closer to that $2,000 per placement versus the job board style, which is going to be that $100 a month type thing. So those recruiting sites. The second way is you can actually run Facebook ads. So this is what I do is I run when I need to recruit out of South America or the Philippines, I actually just run Facebook ads. I have a VSL funnel, so video sales letter funnel that will basically I'll set up a landing page with my role that I'm hiring for. I'll have a video of explaining the role, my job description, click to apply, fill out a Google form, they submit a video and their resume and a few other details. And the Facebook ad will just be a pretty simple like Canva image of, hey, we're recruiting this role. Here's the salary, blah, blah, blah. And then, so running your own Facebook ads, if you're really confident, you know how to run Facebook ads, do that. There's some really tricky things in this one particular because you need to set up a custom conversion event. It gets a little bit technical, but it works really, really well. And it's probably the most affordable way if you know how to do it. And then the third is going to be our applicants. So for our clients, we have a list of applicants, and you can go through them. If you're one of our clients, just ask me for it. And you go through our clients, you can go through our applicants, look at their videos, decide if you want to hire any of them, and then use our various resources to onboard them and train them. So that is going to be it just for this first kind of VA training. I don't want to get too much in depth to make it too long for this first one. But basically after this, we're going to get into, how to assess the applications, how to do interviews, how to what paperwork you need, what type of onboarding process you should have. How can you actually make sure that they're working? And then finally paying them, paying virtual assistants in Latin America, paying them in other places in the world, onboarding them to software, and then finally how to succeed with a virtual assistant. So with that being said, that's going to be it for now. I hope that was valuable. Check out the link in the description. We're going to I'll throw together a little virtual assistant playbook, workbook, cheat sheet, whatever you want to call it. So check that out, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.